Okay. Okay, we'll start. Welcome, everyone. I'm Alan. This is the last drop-in meditation on Friday for this year. And as usual, we'll do our... Anyone new today? Anyone hasn't been before? Okay, good. So what we normally do is just in the hour, we do the first half, just a basic mindfulness breathing meditation, fairly basic. And the second half, we just do a meditation on a particular topic. Loving kindness, compassion we'll do today, because it's Christmas coming up. So the first practice is basically just choosing an object. This is what they call shamatha, or mindfulness practice, calm abiding, they call it sometimes. So what we're doing is just choosing an object. It doesn't matter really what object. And we, as much as possible, rest the mind on that object. So the most commonly used one is the breath, because the breath's always happening. We're not usually taking much notice of it. But the breath is a good one to choose because we're it's very physical and it's always there. But actually today we're going to use the breath, but we'll use a slightly different pathway to get to the breath. This is a practice that Sharon Salzberg does. She's a very senior teacher in America. So we start off with sound awareness. We've got some sound today. We've got the air conditioner, so, which is useful. We need it. And sometimes we have planes. Sometimes we have other noises. So the sound awareness is just resting our attention on what we hear. So it's outside sounds in the room, and there's also sounds in the body, particularly with the breath. We can actually hear the breath coming and going when we pay attention. So we start off with that, and then we go to sensory awareness, the second object. We spend about 5 minutes on each. Sensory awareness is what we feel. So it's the body touching the chair. There's the air on the body, feeling hot or cold. There's the feeling inside the body of any aches or pains. And also the feeling, the breath is also part of sensory awareness. So it's quite a wide field. And then the last one is we just stay with the breath. We let go of all the other sensory awarenesses and just focus on the breath. That's the last one. So in doing all this, there's two parts of mindfulness. One is just choosing what we're going to focus on and as much as possible staying with it. And the other part is checking, are we actually doing what we're supposed to be doing? It's like monitoring. They call it alertness or introspection. So a little part of the mind every now and again is just coming in and just checking, are you still with the breath, or have you wandered off to a distracting thought? So distracting thoughts happen. As Mathieu Ricard, great meditator, great teacher, French monk, says, so what? It's just a thought. We don't get distracted. The main thing is we notice when we're distracted. And he says, the more we become good meditators, the quicker we notice. Like sometimes it might take 5 to 10 minutes. It could take the whole session until we notice that we've been distracted. But he says, the sooner we notice that we've been distracted, then the better our practice is getting. And when we notice we've lost the breath or lost the sound, whatever we're focusing on, we relax. First thing is not panic, it's just a distraction. And we just gently let go of that distraction. And we very patiently come back to the breath. There's no need to get a judge it. I don't need to think I'm a bad meditator, made a mistake. Just let it go, come back to the breath. It could be many times during the session. We have to do that. So that's basically it. The technique is very simple. The actual practice is quite difficult. So the main thing is to just be alert, and if we're feeling sleepy, it's different things. We can open, some people prefer to have their eyes open or closed, but it says if you're feeling sleepy, it's good to have some light coming in, have your eyes open. And if we're feeling the opposite of sleepy, very busy, there's many techniques. One is to, with the out breath, imagine we're just breathing out all the distractions and relaxing, breathing it out and letting go physically, letting go mentally, just relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. So that's basically enough introduction, I think. Okay. And the main thing is to be comfortable. Sitting, chair or floor, lying down is also good. But the main thing is to be comfortable. So we always start with a little bit of motivation, beginning, then physical relaxation, and then we go into the practice. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so we start with our mind. We're now looking inwards. Let go of the external world, what happened this morning, the busy morning, the busy world. Now it's time to look what's happening with the body and what's happening with our mind. Just spend a moment being grateful for the opportunity to sit together and do some practice. How great this opportunity is to be able to just take care of our mind for 1 hour, to be kind to the mind, kind to ourselves. Return the mind to its natural state, quiet, focused. Doing the practice not just for our own benefit, but benefit of those around us and ultimately all living beings. Now we come into the body and make sure we're comfortable. Is the body evenly balanced on the chair or the floor? Just making sure the back's reasonably straight and the shoulders are relaxed. Checking the head and the neck. Checking the muscles around the face and the eyes. Feeling the weight of the body on the chair or the floor. Gentle pull of gravity into the earth. And letting go. Surrendering to the earth. Allowing ourselves to be held. And then gradually becoming more of the breath, starting with the out breath. With each out breath, breathing out tension in the body. Breathing out any busyness, distractions to the mind. And now just becoming more aware of the movement of the body with the breath. Just watching. Nothing to do, nothing to control. And then we'll choose our first object to focus the mind on. That's sound awareness, what we hear. External sounds in the room, outside the room. Perhaps hearing the breath entering, leaving the body. Just being aware of what we hear. Without judging, without building a story. Just bare awareness of what we hear. Just staying with sound awareness. Also checking now and again, are we still with the sound awareness, what we hear, or have we wandered off? There will always be distractions, always the mind will want to wander. When we notice, we gently relax, let go of that thought, distracting thought, patiently come back to the object of what we hear, sound awareness. Then we can either just stay with sound awareness or gently let go of the object of sound and move our attention to what we feel sensually. That is, sensations on the skin, feeling the weight of the body on the surface we're sitting, feeling the air on the skin, feeling the breath moving in the body, the realm of sensory awareness, what we feel physically. Without judging, without a good or bad sensory awareness, just watch what we feel. Staying with sensory awareness, checking, are we still able to hold our attention on what we feel? If we've been distracted with thoughts, that's okay. Just let go of the thought. Be glad we noticed. Come back to sensory awareness. Sense of touch, including the breath entering, leaving the body, the aches or pains in the body. Then gently letting go of touch awareness, what we feel, and just focusing now on the breath. What's the breath entering and leaving the body? Notice where we tend to be comfortable observing the breath, perhaps at the nostrils, perhaps at the abdomen, rising and falling, or perhaps just the whole body moving with each breath. Whatever's comfortable point, just rest our mind there. Just stay with the breath. Whether the breath is short or long, even, uneven, we're right there, noticing, not judging, just watching the breath. Full flow of the in-breath, full flow of the out-breath. Keeping an eye open for a distracted mind. You notice we've wandered off, just let it go and come back to the breath. Just relax. Have a stretch if you need to. So second practice is one on compassion or equanimity, which is an important part of Buddhist teachings and practice. And to start off, just going to read what Lama Yeshe, very great teacher, one of the founding teachers who started the organisation, runs the centre, no longer has passed away, but he was teaching a group of students at Christmas, and he was talking about, we noticed that some of the students were a bit wondering whether they should be doing Buddhism at Christmas time and so on. So he said, I'll just read a few quotes on his teachings. He said, some students might think, oh, one have nothing to do with Jesus, nothing to do with the Bible. This is a very angry, emotional attitude toward Christianity. If you really understood, you'd recognise that what Jesus taught was love. It's as simple as that. And what I've read in the Bible has the same connotation as the Buddhist teachings on equilibrium, compassion, and changing one's ego attachment into love for others. It may not be immediately obvious how to train your mind to develop these attitudes, but it's certainly possible to do so. Only our selfishness and closed-mindedness prevent us. So he says, lack of deep understanding leads to partisanship. The ego feels, I am Buddhist, therefore Christianity must be all wrong. This is very harmful to true religious feeling. You don't destroy a religion with bombs, but with hatred. More importantly, you destroy your peacefulness of your own mind. It doesn't matter if you express your hatred with words or not. The mere thoughts of hatred automatically destroy your peace. Similarly, true love does not depend on physical expression. True love is a feeling of deep within you. It's not just a matter of wearing a smile and looking happy. It arises from heartfelt understanding of every other being suffering and radiates out to them indiscriminately. It doesn't favour a chosen few to the exclusion of everyone else. Okay, so that's basically this practice that we're going to do. It's one, the particular version of this compassion meditation is from Mathieu Ricard. Mathieu Ricard, very famous French monk. He's been to Australia many times and taught at the centre here and also at the happiness conference that we often run. So his basically the procedure is we start with someone we like, naturally have warm feelings towards. Could be our children, loved one, partner. And we just notice how the effortless love and concern arises. And he says you could do this for 30 minutes. Won't have time for that long. But then we next bring in someone who we don't like, an enemy, and see if we can continue that feeling of concern, given the fact that the enemy also wants to be happy, doesn't want any suffering, just like ourselves. And so we're trying to spread our concern more evenly, not just for those who we're close to, but those who, we call them enemies, but it could be just someone who we find difficult, we're not comfortable with. Could be someone we work with, relative. Could be a reason for that, or there could be no reason, just feeling uncomfortable. So we just sort of, what was that?
What if it's someone you don't like?
You don't like?
Yeah.
Well, this is, we choose someone we don't like. Okay, so this is, we've noticed the sort of the resistance we have, that first reaction. And then we sort of feel, well, what's the reason for this? Is it because is it about us? Something they've done to us? Are we at the center of the universe and we only like those who help us, we don't like those who harm us, and those who do nothing, we feel nothing towards. So this is what Lama Yeshe calls this idea of partisanship. We're trying to sort of just see that these categories are quite artificial. Remember, the person we don't like, somebody loves from another viewpoint. Okay, so they're not inherent. There's nothing inherently unlikable about them. Something to do with our vision of that person. So we just, to help us, we realise that person is loved by somebody else, but also they want to make the best of their lives. They want to have happiness just like us. They don't want any suffering. So we just stay with that thought. And then Matthieu Ricard says, he ups the odds and says, bring in the most horrible person. And he calls them the bloody dictator. Because in the Buddhist teachings, if you leave out even one person from your field of compassion, it's said that you're not doing the practice properly, you're not practicing compassion. So it could be Hitler, Mao Zedong, people who've caused incredible suffering. And even people who annoy us, like I was thinking, the easy one are the politicians we love to hate. No, we can, without mentioning names, it's so easy to bring up those who just find it so difficult to feel any warmth towards them. So he says they're the ones you bring in. To make it easy, he says, you don't just immediately start trying to feel compassion, but he says, develop the thought, the wish to remove what makes them cause suffering. Okay, we think that they're causing suffering. That's why we don't like them. So we develop the wish to remove in that person's mind what makes them cause suffering, the mental causes in that person's mind that makes them harmful. Okay, so it makes it a bit easier. If only they didn't have that tendency to harm others. So that's the difficult one. Then he says, go to something much easier. Rejoice in, think of all the people who are doing incredibly good deeds. People we know, particularly now with the pandemic, think of all the people working with the people who are sick, dying, risking their lives, doing unbelievably good work. Rejoice in their selflessness, their work, their humanitarian state of mind. And also we can bring in other beings we know who are perhaps working with refugees, people we know our own life, working with old people, just working with us, being kind to people we know. So also we can bring in the holy beings, people like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, teachers we know, our gurus, if we've got a guru, and beings who have this incredible capacity to benefit countless beings. And they could be giving teachings, they could be giving initiations, teaching people to meditate, guiding individuals. And so we feel some rejoice. I feel how wonderful that these people exist now in this world. So this is rejoicing, very healthy for the mind, very, very powerful to enrich the mind. So then the last thing is, may we have share in their qualities. May we have their qualities of selflessness, concern, loving kindness. And the last part we just bring into the friend, enemies and strangers. We started off with all around us. May you, all friends, enemies and strangers, have peace, happiness, and wishing them well. So we just spend the time feeling a sense of equanimity, which is what Lama Yeshe is talking about here, this idea of breaking down divisions very common element of all religions. So that's it. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, we begin our compassion meditation, coming back to the breath for a few moments. Mindfulness meditation, calming the mind, bringing the mind inwards, back to its natural state. So we begin our practice on equanimity, compassion. Equanimity is the first step to compassion. Bring to mind someone we feel close to, someone we love, someone who we have feelings of concern and regard for. Just noticing how easy it is to feel that sense of concern, compassion, kindness towards that person. Just notice that effortless sense of concern arising in our hearts, allowing it to flow out. And then allowing it to include others we know and have concern about in our field of friendship. Wishing them happiness and causes of happiness. And without thinking too much, think that there are other beings, most of the beings in the world we don't know. Why shouldn't they also have this love and compassion that we feel to our close friends? May they also have happiness, just as we want happiness. May they not have suffering. Just as we don't want suffering. May they be happy. May you all beings be healthy. May you live in peace. And particularly include those who are suffering, particularly those in the pandemic who are suffering the disease. May you be free of this suffering. May you be free of this disease. Include those who are not just physically ill, but maybe suffering grief, mental illness, anxiety, depression, anger, negative emotions. May you be free of these. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live in peace. Why not extend the warmth and love we feel to our loved ones to all these beings, all these suffering beings? All wanting happiness just like us. Now the difficult one, the one we feel hard to feel compassion, loving kindness towards, the one who causes harm. We need to watch our mind and feel compassion towards even these harm givers. Develop the wish to remove what makes these harm givers cause suffering, cause harm. May they be removed of that cause. Wishing the mental causes in that person's mind that makes them harmful be removed. May they be exterminated, ended. Causes of their harm. And now moving to the easier object of compassion, those who are helping, those who are doing good, benefiting others, working every day to relieve others' sufferings, thinking of those, the pandemic, their lives, to help those who are sick, dying, selflessly giving their expertise, their loving kindness, their help to these suffering beings. How amazing, how wonderful. We rejoice. We rejoice in all the good deeds, the virtuous actions of all ordinary beings. Those working in difficult conditions, where there is drought, famine, great suffering, wars, working to protect rights, give protection to beings, rejoicing how wonderful. May these beings have happiness, may they be healthy, and may they live in peace. And now extending to great holy beings, not just ordinary beings, but holy beings, those who have become enlightened, those who have great compassion, the Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, the living Buddhas, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, so many of our teachers, doing unfathomable works, good works for other beings. How wonderful, celebrating and rejoicing in their actions. Guiding sentient beings, averting disasters, relieving suffering, giving teaching. Of the wish to have the same qualities, to develop the same qualities as these great beings, so that we too can benefit other beings, lead them to enlightenment. The first step is to develop great compassion to all beings equally. So visualizing in front of us all these beings, friends, enemies, and strangers. And wishing them loving kindness, have happiness, be free of suffering. May you all sentient beings have happiness, may you be healthy, and may you live in peace. And staying with that thought. So finally, we can dedicate any positive imprints we've made on our minds from today's practice towards peace in our own minds, peace in the minds of all beings, peace in the world. In particular, reading Lama Zopa Rinpoche's special dedication for the pandemic. However many sick sentient beings there are, may they quickly be freed of all sickness. May all sickness, without exception, of transmigrating beings never occur again. due to all the merits collected by me, numberless Buddhas, numberless sentient beings, may all wars or sickness, famine, torture, poverty, economic problems in the world, or dangers of earth, water, fire, and wind be pacified immediately. May perfect peace and happiness prevail in everyone's hearts and lives. May the Buddha Dharma last for a long time. May sentient beings in this world meet the Buddha Dharma and achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. Dedicating to that. Okay, so that's it for today and this year. Thanks for being here. Hope you have a fabulous Christmas, New Year, and see you next year. For February, I think we get back together. Quite a long break. Okay, so remember, lots of the classes are online on YouTube, so you can always watch them at home. Okay, thanks a lot. Any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be outside. Better turn off the